On today's show, Laura Heywood interviews
From My Fair Lady and Hello Dolly, Christian Dante White. Welcome to Laura Heywood Interviews. I'm Laura Heywood, fresh off of the Broadway productions of My Fair Lady, where he played Freddie Eynsford Hill, and Hello Dolly, where he understudied and often went on for the Tony Award-winning role of Cornelius Hackle. My guest today is Christian Dante White. The two of us originally met over social media. The first tweet we were both mentioned in goes back to 2010.
Whoa.
And only just finally met in person last week by total happenstance. So I had to invite him into the studio, especially when I found out he has a concert coming up at the Green Room 42 on October 14th, 2 days after his birthday. So we're going to be talking about that and so much more, including the fact that I have it on good authority that this man channels Beyonce in a very specific way when he needs extra confidence. Christian Dante White, welcome to Laura Heywood Interviews.
Thank you. What a welcome.
I'm so excited to see you. I cannot believe that it took us this long to meet in person.
I know. What was the tweet in 2000?
It was like, remember when everybody used to do Follow Friday?
Yeah.
Somebody named Amanda Blake.
Who is Amanda? Thank you, Amanda Blake.
I don't know. Somebody who follows me who lives in Chicago.
How did you find that? How did you?
You could just search two usernames.
Oh.
Don't put the @ you just put
Got it.
Yeah, and the people that she said to follow were Bloody Andrew Jackson, Jen Bender.
Yes, Jen
who's
Bender.
a director friend of ours, someone named Omar, who goes to San Francisco State.
Hey, Omar.
Tyler Martins, who has a private account.
Private Tyler.
David Singletary.
Hi, David.
Who I have known for a long time, although...
Like bodybuilder, like big... Yeah, I know who that is.
Yeah, I named him one of the top 100 people to follow on a list I made in 2008 for BroadwayWorld.com. Oh, no, 2010. And it's still in his Twitter bio. What up, David? And you and me.
Get out of here.
Isn't that crazy?
10 years. Does that make it our centennial? Is that a centennial?
This was August 27th, 2010. So August 2020 will be. But we didn't actually really start.
Right. We social media met.
This first time that I tweeted about you was much more recently. It was May of 2018 when I saw you sing Prince's Kiss at a Broadway karaoke
Broadway
battle.
It
was an Idina Menzel
yes.
concert, and it was a karaoke competition for the Broadway shows, and you represented Hello Dolly.
I was so nervous because the other shows had I was the only person from Hello Dolly. Other shows had a big group, and I was only a solo person, and they had choreography and blah, 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 and I was like, it's just me by myself. And I ended up winning the whole thing, and I was like, now I'm besties with Idina Menzel, but I don't think I am. But I thought I was at the time.
Well... you definitely slayed. I, in fact, tweeted, you slayed with 4 Ys. And you wrote back, thank you. My shorts almost didn't make it to the stage, but Rosie O'Donnell softened the crowd, so I knew it would be okay.
Yeah, I was like, should I wear these? Those are Mr. Turk swim shorts. And I was like, they're very Prince, but I was just so nervous because I was by myself. And then I was like, you know what? I have to do it. I think that's why I won is because of the shorts. I
thought when I got that tweet, I thought you meant you almost came out without any shorts on. And I was like, okay.
Then I would have lost.
You definitely would have won. You definitely would have won. Plus, just the other day when we met, you tweeted, today I got to meet Broadway superstar, Broadway Girl NYC.
Yeah.
Couldn't have been more kind, so it's safe to say it was a good day.
It was, because I was like, I just wanted to see the space because it had been a while since I'd been there.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was like, should I go see it? I was like, I'm going to quickly go see it. And then, thank God I did.
Yeah,
then
I was at the Green Room 42 hosting an event for Reward the Fan, which is the online game show that I sometimes host that basically rewards fans through trivia with tickets to shows. And we were holding an event for some Broadway influencers and some Broadway stars who have been on the show before. Yeah. And when you came by, I was like, oh my gosh, somebody invited Christian. This is amazing. But I actually, it took me a second to recognize you. Yeah. And I was just, because I was greeting people at the door, and I was like, hi, are you here for the Reward the Fan event? And you were like, no, I'm performing here. And we both just stopped, and we were like, it's you! And I sort of jumped into your arms, and thank goodness you weren't like, get off of me, crazy lady.
No, I'm not at all, because you're probably going to be like, crazy person, how are you? Not at all.
Well, I mean, my memory is really not what it used to be, and really? I definitely see people now who are like, oh my gosh, it's so good to see you again, and I'm like, I'm so glad I didn't just say nice to meet you.
Are you a face person or a name person? I'm a face person, but names, not good at all.
I used to be great with both.
Yeah.
But I think it's because I meet so many people through work,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
usually
yeah.
I'm in this sort of. If I meet somebody, like if we sat across from each other at a friend's dinner party,
Yeah.
I would remember your definitely your face.
Sure.
Maybe not your name, but
Yeah.
definitely your face. If I know you from social media, I'd probably remember your name
Right.
more because that's or your username.
Sure.
Like sometimes I'll see I'll see somebody and they'll be like, "It's me, Jennifer," and I'm like, "Oh, hey, Jennifer," and then she'll be like, "I'm XYZ on Twitter," and I'll be like, "Oh, my God, give
Define
me a
Gravity
hug."
83. You're like, oh yeah, you.
Exactly. But with you, I mean, of course, I knew you right away. I think I saw you 4 times as Cornelius Hackle.
Oh, get outta
I kept
here.
going back to Hello Dolly, and you were just on so much.
That's a lot of money.
Well,
Did we have Russian? Because there
there was
a-
standing room.
Oh, good.
I
Okay.
did standing room.
It's so expensive.
And I know it is. And I am very, very lucky, very privileged.
Sure.
To get to go to shows
Sure.
for free.
Yeah.
And not whenever I want, and not
Yeah.
every show. But enough so that when a show like Hello Dolly comes along that doesn't do traditional press tickets,
Yeah.
like they invited the New York Times,
Right.
they did not invite Broadway Girl NYC,
Right.
and that is totally fine, and I
Totally.
get it. But because I do see so many shows they're technically for review purposes,
Yeah.
but also I'm not a reviewer.
Right.
I'm an enthusiast.
Sure.
So I think it should make more sense for them to give me free tickets because they know
I
I'm only
agree.
going to say good stuff.
I agree.
But I don't have the cachet of the
Totally.
Times or NBC News or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
And I'm not technically doing reviews in a traditional way. So, but I can put aside save up my dollars.
Yeah.
I will tell you a very, very special Hello Dolly story.
Please.
So the very first Broadway show I ever saw was Crazy for You, which was in the Schubert
Right,
Theater.
Susan
It was
Stroman.
1992. I was 13 years old, and my dad, who is known for what we call the Bob Heywood seats, which are center of the 5th row. He still brings his binoculars because he wants to see every detail of the set design
Come
and
on,
stuff.
binocular
He's the
dad.
one who taught me that, if there's a shelf full of books, reading the titles of the books is going to teach you a lot about the characters because those were books that were not just put there by accident. But even from the 5th row, sometimes you need binoculars to see them.
Yeah.
He taught me how to watch theater for sure. But for Crazy for You, he did one better, and he got front row tickets. And we were on the side, but on the center aisle. And I got to sit in that center aisle seat in the very front row. And the lead actress in Crazy for You was named Jodie Benson. She, in addition to starring as Polly in Crazy for You, was the voice of The Little Mermaid, which was my favorite movie. It had
yeah.
come out 4 years before I saw it in the theater.
Yeah.
And I just loved it. I really identified with this petulant daughter.
Sure. As did I as a little child in South Bend.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Are
well,
you kidding me?
I feel like at that point it was like, are you an Ariel, are you a Belle, or are you a Jasmine? And I was like, I'm such an Ariel.
Same. Wait, Ariel, Jasmine, or who?
Belle from Beauty and the Beast.
Definitely Ariel. I'm
Yeah.
with you on that. Yeah.
And so as soon as I found that out, I was just obsessed with her. And at one point, the choreographer had her not just come over right in front of where I was sitting, but she sat down with her legs dangling over the stage right in front of me. And we made eye contact. And I was like, it was the first, I'd gone to a lot of theater, but it was the first time I had a moment where the fourth wall was broken for me and only me.
Yeah.
Where I was like, not only do I see her, she sees me.
Yeah.
It happened, it was middle of August, and it happened that we're from California. My parents had been to New York, they'd run the New York Marathon once years before, but it didn't occur to anybody that there could be a pouring rainstorm in the middle of August because we don't have summer rain in California, at least not in Northern California. And so we came out, and it was one of those drenching downpours. So we just waited it out and hung out under the marquee, which happened to be in Schubert Alley, right by the stage door.
Right.
And Jodie Benson came out, and she ran right up to me. Nobody was waiting. Stage dooring wasn't a thing in 1992. She ran right up to me and she said, "I saw you there in the front row with that pretty smile."
Oh.
And of course, my life was changed. We took a picture. I sent her the picture with a thank you note. She wrote me back. I still have the letter she wrote me back. Totally changed my life, and I started imagining myself in New York.
Yeah.
So that was, I want to say, August 17th of 1992. So summer of 2017 was the 25th anniversary of that. And I was planning on getting up early to rush Hello Dolly so I could be in the same theater on the same day to celebrate my 25 years of being a Broadway fan.
Right.
But I woke up in the middle of the night because I was, when you have to get up early and it's like, you can't sleep well because you're like, did I sleep through my alarm?
Yeah.
So
Anxious.
at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. or something, I still had a lot of hours before it was time to get up, but I was stressed out. I thought, wouldn't it be crazy if that same seat was available? And it was.
Stop it.
It was actually technically on the other side of the theater, so the other front row on the aisle.
Yeah.
But it was close enough. And also at Hello Dolly, there was no row A in the orchestra because they built out the, what do you call that? The
passerelle?
Is that what it's called? A passerelle, where there's the edge of the stage, and then there's the orchestra pit, and then there's another like ramp.
Yeah, that's the passerelle.
The passerelle, right? So that was so I couldn't sit in row A5, but I sat in B, which was the front row, and it was 6.
Oh my gosh.
And so it was like, it was not a cheap ticket, but it wasn't a premium ticket, and it wasn't a resale ticket. It had just been released, I guess. And so it was like
meant for you.
It was like $300 to celebrate this occasion that for me was so special. And so I got to go. I dressed up. I took myself to the theater and got to sit in the front row at the same theater. Bette Midler like reached down and grabbed my hand during the bows.
Oh my gosh.
And I felt like I was communing with my younger self in that building.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not a spiritual person. Like I'm not. I have a lot of thoughts about suspension of disbelief in spirituality that I choose to believe in magic even when I don't believe in magic. But there was something that really felt like that little girl was in the room with me right there, and she was reaching out and having a moment with Jodie Benson while I was reaching out and having a moment with Bette Midler on the 25th anniversary. And so for that reason, the Shubert will always be my favorite Broadway theater.
That is beautiful story.
I know.
Oh my god!
So much for me interviewing you. I've just
let's talk
interviewed
about that.
myself.
Like that's way more interesting. That's so beautiful, and that's why I love theater for things like that. And when you say like I saw the show 4 times, like I don't take that lightly because it's so expensive, and then for someone to see the same show over and over, like I don't take those things for granted because of stories like that are just so special and so beautiful. So
well, you have a story that's not the same, but that I will never forget, especially whenever I go into the Lincoln Center Theater. Yeah, which is how you would perform for your grandma.
Yes,
will you talk about that a little
bit? Absolutely. I moved here in 2004, and I was studying at Circle and Square Theater School, and I went to Interlochen Arts Academy before, where Adam Gettle was a alumni. So I remember reading about him, and I remember I was like, oh my God, Light in the Piazza is happening at Lincoln Center. To audition for schools, I have to do a little backstory. We went to Chicago to audition for conservatories, and Light in the Piazza was playing in Chicago.
Who's we? You and your...
Sorry, we as in seniors in high school auditioning for art schools. So as opposed to us flying all the way to New York, what schools do is they go like to Chicago and like other like A-list cities. And they'll all come in, like Boston Conservatory, Juilliard. They'll all be in one place.
I had no idea this was even a thing. I was like a super theater kid. Sure. And voice and stuff in high school. I was a thespian, and nobody ever told any of us this. Like I got a degree in acting, but it was like I know I got a scholarship for acting, but it was like, I don't know. I sent in a videotape of myself doing
That's how I got
monologue.
into school. But this was in 2004. I don't know if they still do this, but
mine was in 1997. So
maybe this is a new thing, so people don't have to spend as much money. But we drove from Michigan to Chicago, and so we saw Light in the Piazza in the Chicago Theater. So I was like, oh my God, this is brilliant, because it was an Interlochen alumni. So I moved to New York City, and I saw it at Lincoln Center, and my parents came up, who raised me, my mom and my grandma, and I bought them. I couldn't afford orchestra seats, so I got 3 like cheap seats up in the mezz, and they loved it. And I know it was a good time because my grandmother did not fall asleep, so that means she really enjoyed the show. And it's nothing personal. My grandmother, she used to like to take a nap when, because that's her thing.
As my grandma used to say, I'm just resting
my eyes. Exactly. Count my eyelashes. So they saw the show and they absolutely loved it. And I also took them, I think the first show, I took them to see Hairspray, and they loved Hairspray, which actually was my first professional job. And then I took them to
Let
see...
me guess, you played Tracy.
I played Tracy Turnblad
no, I can
and
totally
Matinee
see you
Dynamite.
as... I could totally see you. You were Seaweed, right?
I was Seaweed,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, I see it.
That was my first professional job. But so when I got hired, my first principal contract ever to sing On the Street Where You Live, it was just overwhelming because I just every night thought of my grandma and up in the mezzanine singing up to her. So that was beyond just booking a show. It was like kind of like what you just talked about with like that full circle moment. So I was so grateful for those magical 6 months. And it's also just being at Lincoln Center Period with that huge orchestra on the stage by yourself singing like one of the most beautiful songs in the world. I mean, like, come on, does it get any better than that? Like, I don't know how.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that it does, because I want there to, I don't want that to be
sure.
Like, yeah, you peaked.
But
you know
what? It's interesting you say that, because I try to live in a place of gratitude and like not take yourself so seriously. But I literally, especially these off times when I'm not working, I take a second. I go, I'm really grateful for what I've had so far. Like, and for if something else comes along, great. But like so far, like I've had a lot of awesome experiences that I'm really, really grateful for, and I don't take lightly. So if that is like, it or whatever, not to sound like all, cryptic, but
well, yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean?
And
like,
we all have different experiences.
Sure.
I do know people who have won Tony Awards and fallen into deep, deep depressions because that was the mountain they were climbing, and now they're at the top. And what do they do next?
Where do you go? It's a rough business, and that's why I try to stay in a place of gratitude and just not, as much as I can, not go so serious, just because it's a mean, cruel business. And there's also so much magic and beauty to it as well. But like, it's not fair. There's no logic. 1 + 1 does not equal 2 always. So as much as I can with self-care and taking care of this and this, I try to. But
that was head and heart for people listening at home. This and this.
This and this.
So what does self-care look like for you?
What does self-care look like for me? Well, first of all, I'm a religious person. So like I love to, like, I'm a prayer person. I'm a manifest person. I grew up in the church, and that's a big foundation for me because it gives me something to believe in, and I believe in God and a higher power. That is a foundation for me. I'm a Libra. I stay balanced. So I know when to say no. I know when I need to, like, just put on my Kardashians and like turn my brain off. I'm not afraid to say no. I also, because it's just in my DNA, my family, we are go-getters. We are, what's the word? We just have that like fight in us. Like I'll tell a story. My great grandmother, my whole family is from Mississippi. They were sharecroppers and they owned land in Mississippi. They still do. And back in like the early 1900s, I mean, we were just past slavery, was still extremely racist in Mississippi. Well, her husband dies. And so these racist white men thought they were going to come and like take her land. So my great grandmother, her husband just died, sat on a porch with a huge shotgun and basically was like, you come on my land and I'm going to kill you because this is mine. Like that type of fire. And like her husband just died, but she was like, I'm still going to fight for what's mine and what I've worked for. So that's the blood that like runs through me, that type of strength and that type of, so I was just talking to my aunt actually when they came up to see my Fair Lady, and our cousins were talking like, we're motivated, like go-getter people. And she was like, honey, that is in your blood. And she told me the story about my great grandmother. I was like, oh my gosh, that's where it is, that determination, that fight to like just go for it. So that is how I take care of myself, my self-care, where I come from, what runs through my veins. That's just kind of who I am.
I totally thought you were going to be like, I use a face mask and like every once in a while I treat myself to a pedicure.
Those things help. I do a Deciem for face care, but no, see, those things take care of the outside, but you got to take care of the inside because, like you said, I know people who Tony winners and blah 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 who are like, I can't get a. I'll even mention Billy Porter. I remember
Emmy Award winner Billy.
Yeah, right, Emmy Award winner. I remember Billy Porter in Worldwide Plaza years ago, before Kinky Boots or whatever, was frustrated about a production. I won't say which, but he wanted to. It was like a concert, and a huge like A-lister, and he was like, couldn't even get a part. Like he called the director, like I couldn't even get a part for this concert, and like was just like, I need to get this thing out. And to see his journey from that to Kinky Boots to Pose to now like fashionista icon, you know. So like I said, you really have to have self-care and I also have people who are like my mentors, Coleman Domingo, like, yes.
One of my favorite people in the whole
my big brother.
World.
Yeah.
I would do anything for him.
He's my big brother. I champion him and my big sis, Sharon Washington, actress. Those are like my big brother and my big sister, and that also keeps me sane. That's like we have what we call meetings, and we just shoot the shit and like complain about the business, lift each other up, share what we're doing. And they also will text me like, what are you posting? You need those like things. So those are my self-care, things in the city, how I navigate myself through this crazy business, because it's nuts.
You have a very calming energy.
Thank you. That's the Libra, and I'm telling balance. I'm all about balance.
I get so manic. I'm like the opposite
What's your
of a
sign?
Libra. I'm a Taurus.
Oh, a Taurus.
But I'm an April Taurus, so I've been told that I have some Aries qualities.
Got it.
This is one of those things that I don't really subscribe to, but when it's fun and it's telling me good things, I choose to believe those things. Sort of like how if I get a fortune cookie that's like, you're stronger than you know. I'm like, this fortune cookie gets it, but do I actually believe that?
Right.
I mean, I like I said before, I do a lot of thinking about suspension of disbelief and how, because I'm obsessed with science, and I can think about things like when I go, I have a feeling I'm going to catch the train fast today, and then I do, and then I want it. There's a part of me that wants to be like, I manifested it, and then there's another part of me that's like, well, my brain is doing more than I know, and when I'm walking up 8th Avenue, I could theoretically be feeling vibrations in the ground that I don't recognize I'm feeling. And so maybe I knew I was going to catch the train because of some scientific information that I wasn't registering, and I get into these brain spirals.
I'm not that
and
smart.
trying to talk my way out of the metaphysical or the magic because I feel like, I don't know. But then at some point it hit me that I go to more theater than probably 99.99999% of people in the world. Probably even 99% of people in New York. Probably even 99% of theater people, I go to more theater than them because I'm like, last year I went to 275 shows in 365 days.
Holy smoke. You should just have like an all access card. Like it
right? I mean,
seriously.
it's close. It's close. What I really should do is be a nominator because I'm seeing everything anyway.
How can we make that happen?
Please do. Because then I'd really get tickets to everything.
Let's put it out there.
Okay, this will be a test.
Then you can do your scientific jargon that I'm not smart enough to repeat, but like, let's manifest
but what I realize is, as somebody who goes to the theater as often as I do, I am so practiced.
Yeah.
I have the muscles built like no other, like a professional athlete in suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
That I can go and see my friend Christian play Freddie Einsford Hill. And it's not like I think you're Freddie Einsford Hill and that I forget I have a friend named Christian.
Yeah.
It's that I can simultaneously know that Freddie Einsford Hill is a fictional character.
Yeah.
But it doesn't keep me from like weeping when he sings On the Street Where You Live because I have suspended disbelief and decided to live in a world where Freddie Einsford Hill is so in love that he can't see beyond, the doorstep in front of him.
Which is true.
And so I now I don't beat myself up for being like, maybe the train came because I made it come.
Right.
Instead, I go like, so what if there's a perfectly valid scientific explanation using statistics and probability and stuff? If it makes my day better and I can project positive energy to the people around me because I allow myself to suspend disbelief enough to believe, to pretend, or to live in a world where I made the train come, then I'm just going to do it.
Absolutely. Different strokes, different folks, y'all.
Yeah, and you don't have to like... There are ways to have two conflicting truths happen at the same time, and as long as neither one of them is hurting anybody, just let them both exist.
That's how I feel.
Did you meet Coleman Domingo during Scottsboro Boys?
I did. I have a funny story, or not a funny story, but the story is I was doing The Wiz at City Center, and let me back up. First time I saw Coleman in Passing Strange, obsessed with him, and I remember that cast coming out of the stage door, and they were all looking gorgeous. Like, he was wearing like a high boot with like skinny black. They were all so stylish, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's like the real deal. Cut to The Wiz, City Center, getting my equity card and playing the Scarecrow. They were doing like the big, like, you know, when all the cameras come and they do like rehearsal video. I had to audition the B-roll. I had to audition for the Scottsboro Boys reading during my lunch break right before that. So it's my first time ever doing that. And I had to sing Ease on Down the Road with Ashanti. And I was kept messing with the choreography. Andy Blankenbuehler, so brilliant. I had to rush down, like around here, I think Ripley, to audition for the Scottsboro Boys reading during my lunch break. And Susan Stroman was running late. I'm like sweating profusely because I'm so nervous about this video because it's basically going to be like my intro into the world of theater in New York.
What a role.
Oh, yeah. I go into the audition. I'm like, They called me and they said that I got it. And I laughed out loud because I didn't think I did that great of a job. So I was doing the reading of Scottsboro Boys during the day and doing The Wiz at night. Coleman was in the reading of the Scottsboro Boys. Well, he books The Wiz at City Center because Orlando Jones couldn't do like the last 2 weeks because we got extended twice because he had an obligation to a TV show. So Coleman and I were spending all day with each other, like doing the Scottsboro Boys during the day. And then he was doing coming into our show for the last couple of weeks as The Wiz. The first time he sat in, this is funny, the rehearsal studio to watch us work, I was freaking out going, oh my God, Coleman's like a real deal actor and I don't know what. Meanwhile, he's sitting there going, oh my gosh, these people are so amazing. I'm freaking out. I don't know what I'm doing. So we were feeling the same thing. And we like just bonded. And during the run, the creation of the Scottsboro Boys in January of 2010, we were like, do you want to grab a drink? I don't know what I'm doing. And we just have bonded since then. And Sharon Washington, who played the lady in the Scottsboro Boys, was a part of that. And we've been...
She's Coleman's muse.
Oh, as she should be.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see her in The Joker. She is brilliant personified and my big sis. And we just became close because of that, because we were literally spending all day together. And I think we shared a cab a couple times from the Vineyard Theater up to City Center because we were both like doing double duty madness.
So the Scottsboro Boys is special to me for a couple of reasons. The most superficial of which is that my last name is Heywood. So I have a bunch of pictures with Josh Henry where I'm like, two Heywoods.
Of course.
Heywood and Heywood. Of course, Heywood in Scottsboro Boys is a first name, and it's spelled Hay, whereas mine is Hey. But still, I was like, oh my God, it's Heywood. It's just not that common a name, you know? It's like very common in the UK. At least Heywood, spelled like mine, as a last name. In fact, I have of course, like any good narcissist does, I have a Google News alert set for my name. And
of course you do.
And there is this terror, this menace named Laura Heywood in some little town in the UK who's like going around committing hate crimes and stuff.
What?
Yeah.
Oh no.
She like beat somebody up with a bottle and like yelled racial slurs at him and stuff recently. And I was like, come on, Laura Heywood.
Get it together, Laura, in the UK.
I know.
Get it together, Laura. That was a terrible accent. Sorry.
Good news is that when you Google Laura Heywood, it's all me for like the first 3 pages.
Good.
I'm like, I've
put goodness in the name in the
yeah,
word.
and you know, she can benefit from my good name. I'm not worried that she's going to take me down. But maybe I will have to look up her information and be like, could you just please stop for the cake, like just for the sake of my Google alert?
Yeah.
If not for just, you know, like the fact that you should not be
beating people
I
up
don't
with
know
bottles.
that. Yeah, I mean, anyway, yikes! This interview just took a turn. Then when you came in to Book of Mormon in 2011, just a few months after. Did you do the whole run of Scottsboro Boys? I know it wasn't a long run.
Yes, I did. So I did the off-Broadway premiere at the Vineyard, and then we were trying to come in that season with Fela, the season that Fela and Memphis, but we couldn't. They wouldn't give us a theater.
Did they think that 2 black shows was enough? Like that was the quota?
You know the politics of it. I don't want to like talk out of turn, but there was a show happening that we really wanted to, and that we thought was going to close, but they kept extending. And then where was another available spot, but then they chose another show over ours, Everyday Rapture, to come in. So what they did was the producers booked us at the Guthrie Theater to keep us together. And we did a summer run at the Guthrie, which was also magical. And then we came in that following fall. And I did the whole run on Broadway. And then I actually did it in LA, and I did the London premiere at the Young Vic Theater.
So you're on the London cast recording.
I'm not on the London.
You're not.
So they came back after the Young Vic production, and Brandon actually came back and reprised his role, and they recorded that production. But no, I'm not on the London recording.
Bad.
But I'm on the original off Broadway one. But no, I'm not on that recording.
I'm glad that there isn't. You're on the original cast.
I'm on
recording.
the original, the OG. I'm on the original, but no, I'm not on that one. I haven't actually listened to that one. You know, some shows are really tough because it's so close to your heart, and especially because like you helped like build it, and that show is not one like. It's not like Wicked where you just put it on the playlist. So it's not one that I listen to. Like I've actually I can't even go through all the way of listening to Audra sing Go Back Home because it's just so emotional. And like, it was a tough, brilliant show to do, but like, it's one that I just keep in my magical memory box. But you know, I don't jam out to my like Alabama ladies at home.
Yeah.
I will sometimes watch the Tony performance with Hey 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 and Commencing in Chattanooga because Joshua Henry is just magic.
Well, and there's hope in those early songs.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
You unfortunately went through something very similar with another very, very special show.
Yeah.
With Shuffle Along.
Yeah.
Or the making of the musical sensation of 1921 and all that followed.
I can't even say that title. Like, I don't even remember that full title.
Well, we'll just call it Shuffle
Along. Yeah.
Which, again, heartbreakingly short run.
Yeah.
And full of like the greatest talent in the history.
The Black Broadway Avengers, I call them.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Black Broadway Avengers. And you know what? Beyond that, the ensemble, I will always champion them. That you could not do an open call and find them because they were literally the most gorgeous hoofers, not tap dancers. They were hoofers around the country. Like we had people from all over, and they were just gorgeous. And the biggest applause of the night was not from the Avengers. It was from the tap number when they battled each other because it was so electric and beyond. And when we got the closing notice, my heart not only broke that the show was closing, but that something like this would never be put back together again. Like, and I was just so grateful that I got to be a part of it. But that was a tough one to, like, I probably should have gone to therapy after that, but I literally, that broke my heart. That was a very dark time post show because we'd worked so hard on that. I think I did like 3, maybe 4 reading labs of that show. There was so much put into that show, so much work, and it was new pages every day and trying to keep up with the genius tornado that is George C. Wolfe, and then Savion, brilliant choreography and just the best of the best. But it was something that I'll always hold in my memories watching my heroes work, and they could not have been more gracious and like no ego and about the art. And also Audra McDonald sang in my face every night. That's something that I'll just never forget.
Do you know that Will Swenson's bio for a recent show he was in ends with, he is married to the most talented woman in the world?
Agreed.
I know.
Literally agreed.
It's my favorite thing I've ever read in a bio.
And he's literally probably one of the most kind, gorgeous, beautiful-eyed man in the whole wide world.
I should hope so because Audra deserves nothing less. Just reading down the cast list for Shuffle Along,
Please.
like Brandon Victor Dixon, Joshua Henry, Audra McDonald, Brian Stokes Mitchell, Billy Porter, Brooks Ashmanskis, Amber Amon, Adrian Warren, Philip Atmore.
Yeah.
And like then it goes into like the hoofers that you were talking about. I mean, Philip Atmore is like one of the best dancers I've ever seen. And I know his name from his ensemble tracks, you know, which I think is maybe for me not that surprising.
Yeah.
But these are people who are like, you know, there are people who are in the chorus because like they're trying to make it into the into like someday they're gonna star, and then there are people who are like, I want to dance. All I want to do is dance. And I feel like Shuffle Along found people who were like the joy was from their toenails to the tips of their hair.
Right. And they weren't just ensembles. Like George gave them names. They had backstory. Like it was more than that. Like I could literally sit and list and talk about each and every one because they're all so brilliant. Like each and every one of them were just so and brought something so fresh and new. And not that they were gorgeous individuals like Pam Yasutaki from Seattle, Aaron Moore, like all Afra Hines, who's now in
and
I mean,
I
could talk Richard Yoder, who is also a brilliant dancer, and I could spend all day talking about how, and then the Harmony Kings, like I was singing next to Darius DeHaas, you know, and JC Montgomery, Arbiter, like it was just literally the best of the best. So the fact that show we didn't have the life that it deserved, it just broke my heart. It was a really, but it happened. We were there, and you know.
And you were there. You were there for all of it. Like I only got to see that show once, which is once more than most people.
Yeah.
But I want to tell you.
When did you see it though?
I saw it.
Had we opened?
No, it was right before though. So
okay,
I
so
think
you saw
it was
like more
Frozen.
of the Frozen
But
show.
I want to tell you something that I hope will bring a little levity to this conversation because I know we sort of just went down a sad road. But I have a friend named Jennifer Tepper, who's a historian. She's also the program director at 54 Below. She was one of the lead producers on Be More Chill.
Got it.
And she is somebody who has taken her passion for theater and made it a real career. She also has several books called the Untold Stories of Broadway, which are fascinating and I highly recommend.
Nice.
One of the most frequent questions she gets is, if you could go back in time and see any show, what would it be? And I think her whole life, she said, I think either, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on the name of that Sondheim show that was panned but has had a million revivals, that they did.
Merrily We Roll.
Yeah, Merrily We Roll On. That's her favorite show. In fact, when she has to swear on something, she says, I swear on Merrily.
Totally.
And sometimes she would say, like, she wanted to go back and see, I don't know, what is it, The Elves, the first Broadway show there ever was in like 1850 something. But recently she's been saying she would, if she'd go back to any show in history, it would be the first preview of Shuffle Along.
Oh, gosh.
Because there was so much material that got cut that she would just give anything to have been able to experience once.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's sort of, I wish that too. And, you know, even those of us who saw Shuffle Along didn't get to see all of it because it changed so much and so often.
So much. Like, and we were also lucky that we did, I think, 2 weeks of previews, and then we shut down for a week to go back into tech and change, like, which is unheard of, but also so brilliant. Like, there was so much support for really making something so special between Scott Rudin, our producer, and like, he really gave him space to like really go at it and listen to, and no one is smarter than George Stewart. Like, the man it was literally being like at University of the Arts or something, like, every day, because he's such a beacon of knowledge. He's like, I can't believe you haven't read this book. Read this book. What are you doing? That is a very good George Stewart impersonating anybody that knows him. But yeah, I would go back to, and like, I'll tell this story. The number that we were in called Four Black Keys, that with Philip Atmore tap dancing, it got cut the night Oprah Winfrey came and saw our show. And I never get like this, because I get it, like, it's not personal shit. I was heartbroken because I've been singing this song for like a year, you know, between labs and stuff. I lit, and the next day, like, I wasn't talking, like, I had a little bit of an attitude, and the theater gods were on my side. It's the only song that got cut, and for one night got cut, and he put it back in the night. He's like, I made a mistake. Literally the only one. But it was like my friend had died or something. Like, and maybe also because I was acting like a big baby. Like, I'm always like bright and funny, and that day I just was like a dark cloud. Like, I cannot believe, I was mourning. Like, I can't believe you cut that song. And luckily he put it back in. Four Black Keys was the name of the number, with Philip Atmore and the Harmony Kings. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, but Oprah never got to see it.
Huh?
Oprah
never got to see it, but I got to meet Oprah, and she walked over to me with open arms, and people thought we knew each other, but we didn't. But she just gravitated towards me. She chose me, which, that will be in the memoir. She literally open arm, walked over to me, and she actually came and saw Hello Dolly, and I said, we got a red dress waiting for you, Oprah. When are you going to be Hello Dolly? And she was like, Hello Dolly. Can you imagine Oprah?
You get a business card.
Yes, she would be brilliant. She would be brilliant.
She would be amazing.
And Gail could do Tuesdays. I've already thought about this.
I just need to take a minute.
And
that's the best thing I've ever
Come on.
Hashtag Gail could do Tuesdays.
Gail could do Tuesdays.
Can Gail sing?
I don't know, but we'll make it work. I mean, who cares? It's Gail and Oprah. They could talk through it, and I would be there. Are you kidding me?
Oh my gosh.
Let's manifest that.
Okay, we'll see how well manifesting works. We get Oprah on Broadway as Dolly Levi in a new revival. Okay, so this brings me to a tip.
Sure.
A little birdie told me that you have a special connection with Ms. Beyonce, and that you bring yourself extra confidence through channeling her.
Beyonce literally is my fuel. I literally have watched her behind the scene videos every other day. I think I watched something today. She is just everything that I try to be. She is the first person there, first one to leave. She's kind, she's gracious, she works hard, and it shows in all of her work. She's meticulous. She makes me proud to be a Black artist. She is unapologetic about her art. And there's just something, everyone has their person. She's just my person. And I actually got to, so another backstory.
You're such a good storyteller.
Thank you.
So thrilled.
I hope that happens in my show. But, thank you for that.
Oh, yeah. We haven't even talked about that.
We will. Okay. We'll get there.
Tell me about Beyonce. And specifically, this is going to be visual clues, so people at home won't be able to hear it. But I want to hear about this.
So, wait, what's this?
Okay. So our mutual friend, Kyle Post, told me that when you are feeling like you need more confidence, you punch yourself in the chest and go, Beyonce.
Oh, yeah.
To remind yourself that if Beyonce can do it, so can you. That's where I got this whole, tell me about it, because I love the idea of you being
there's a million
Beyonce.
Yeah, there's a million Beyonce. So, there's a whole, encyclopedia A through Z about Beyonce. So it's which story do you want? But Bette Midler's production manager, I've done Halloween with Bette twice. And one day, her business manager lady, Jill, was like, do you know who Sean works for, who is Bette's production? Mm-hmm. I was like, who? She goes, your girlfriend, your icon. I was like, Beyonce? She's like, yep. So Sean was very gracious, and she was like, when you come see the show in Philly, let me know. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? So I went to Philly, and she's like, don't get a ticket. I got you. And I was like, what does that mean? I've never been in this... So literally I got to sit and watch her call the show, and then she was like, now go be in VIP, and I got to be in the VIP thousands and thousands of dollars section and watch her and Jay-Z perform. And
Did she sweat on you?
What'd you say?
Did she sweat on you?
I wasn't that close, but this is the thing I freaked out. If we were on TV, I could show the video. There's a part in the show where the stage elevates and goes above our heads, and I was freaking out like an alien was coming down to earth. And I'll never forget. And she was like, there's a camera on the bottom of the stage, and she was like, I was like, Christian's about to freak out. Christian's about to freak out. In 3, 2, 1, Christian's freaking out. So she was watching me freak out as the stage was going above my head. If you go on YouTube, you can see what I'm talking about. On the Run 2, you can watch that. But she is my everything. There was a time when Beyonce saw The Lion King, Frozen during Hello, and I was like, she has to come see Hello Dolly, and she never saw Hello Dolly. And I was so sad that she didn't come see it. But
your moment will come.
I know
that
for a fact
we can manifest.
Oh, it's manifested.
Yeah.
It's already in the queue. It's going. it's gonna happen. Like, and also like me and Oprah are gonna be besties. Kris Jenner, like it's gonna happen. Like I have no.
You are super into the Kardashians. This is the second time you've mentioned them.
It's my new thing. Post My Fair Lady closing, I always was like, ugh, the Kardashians. And then one day I was clean. I was like, let me just put it on just to have some background sound. And I was like, let me sit down, and I'm hooked. I've literally binged. I'm on the 16th season. I started from the beginning in July.
What?
I know it's not good. I know it's not good.
Well, you'll catch up eventually, right? How many seasons have there been?
I think I'm on the last season
you're
right
caught
now.
up.
So I'm practically. I literally was watching it over coffee before I came here, and I'm gonna watch it tonight.
You know what? I say
self-care.
You do your thing. Yes.
Different strokes, different folks.
And I also don't like it when anybody gives anybody else shit for what they watch
Yeah.
or what they eat or anything. I'm like, aren't we? And the people I hang out with, I'm like, we are people who very actively advocate for people doing what they want with their own bodies.
Yeah.
And I don't care whether that's what you feed your,
Right.
Your hunger, what you feed your eyeballs. If you're not hurting anybody else and it brings you joy.
Yeah.
Or even it doesn't, like, if you're not hurting anybody else, do what you want
what
with
you
your
need to
own
do.
body. Like,
What's that from the life? My body, my business.
yeah.
There
And
you go.
I feel the same way about plastic surgery. Sometimes people are like, oh, can't believe she did that.
Do
and I'm like,
you?
that was her own body.
Yep.
And she can do whatever she wants.
Yep.
And he can do whatever he
Yep.
wants. So if that involves watching the Kardashians.
Yeah.
No
and
judgment.
I'm a proud Kardashian.
Good, as
and
you should be.
You didn't ask, but I know you want to. My favorite is Khloe and Kim. But Kris is also like my favorite too. So, but if I had to pick one, I would want to hang out and be besties with Kris, but my favorite probably is Khloe.
Do you consider Bruce Jenner a Kardashian? I mean, Caitlyn.
Well, now she's Caitlyn.
Do you consider Caitlyn
I
a
do
Kardashian?
because I watched like the whole journey.
Hang on. I just have to interrupt you because
Yeah.
I have to correct myself for even referencing the dead name.
Sure,
I feel
sure.
like I feel so sick and like I betrayed everything I believe in.
Sure.
Because it came out of my mouth
Yeah,
that
yeah,
way.
yeah.
And I just before you can even finish your thought.
Yeah.
I want to just say,
Correct yourself.
I heard myself.
Yep.
I am going to be better. And I strongly, strongly apologize to Caitlyn and any trans, non-binary people, anybody who has a dead name. Oh my gosh, I'm better than that, and I will be better.
Thank you for recognizing that, and I'm sure the community is open arms for that. The answer is I do consider Caitlyn a Kardashian.
Don't you feel like she, in choosing to spell Caitlyn with a C, like that was a purposeful sort of diss to the Kardashian?
Oh my God, I never
legacy?
thought about that.
Because when I heard Caitlyn, I was like, oh, with a K, right?
Yeah,
because Chloe is not usually spelled with a K.
Right.
You know, like
I have a cousin. My first cousin's name's Chloe with a C.
That's
Chloe Christian.
That's the more traditional spelling, and that's their thing.
Never thought about that. But
I just was like,
Caitlyn with the C looks better to me, like on print. It looks like I would probably choose. I don't think she was even considering the. I
saw it as a burn.
Did you?
Mm-hmm. Like
I won't be a part of that narrative. I will not say anything bad about the
I could have spelled it with a K, but you know what? I'm gonna not.
Different strokes, different folks.
And again, do whatever you want with your own identity and your own name and whatever.
My body, my business.
But that was my first thought.
Yeah.
When I heard it
I've
before
never
I
thought
saw
about
it in
that.
print.
See, you're smart. I'm just like
You're just insanely talented.
If you say so. But I never thought about that.
Let's talk about your solo show at the Green Room 42. It is on Monday, the 14th of October. So it's really coming up.
Yes.
And I'm doing something that I don't usually do, which is it's so important to me that people find out about this show that I am releasing the free podcast version of Laura Heywood interviews the same day
You are awesome.
as the paid version, because otherwise people couldn't get tickets to your show. And it's going to be so amazing, especially since you're such a good storyteller.
Thank you. You know
And he's
what?
an
I'm so
even
happy you're
better
telling me this
singer.
because I've first of all, I've never done a concert before. And I've like written out like what I want to say. And yesterday I was like practicing. I was like, I don't think this is good. This isn't right. So thank you for saying that to me, because it's literally like the perfect time of someone reassuring me that, because literally I was like practicing it yesterday by myself, like with my cold. And I was like, this isn't fun. Nobody wants to listen to this. So I was like in my head about it. So thank you for saying that, because I needed to hear that.
What are people going to get to hear?
I am going, so I'm I'm calling it a birthday concert. So I'm singing whatever.
Right, 'cause it's 2 days after
your birthday. It's 2 days after my birthday. I'm turning 34. I'm singing whatever the heck I want, like 90s R&B. There's some disco. There's some Broadway. I'm just doing whatever
Beyonce?
I want to. I won't say
Okay,
what's
got it.
gonna be in there, but those are like the themes. And I'm basically telling my story from how I grew up, how I came from South Bend to Broadway, so to speak.
You're doing a one-person jukebox musical telling
basically,
the story of your life.
basically. And I wanted, and I kind of say this is like, there's no structure. Like, I don't know the difference between a cabaret and like like, I don't know all those terms or whatever. I just want to do whatever I want. And I also am making it a birthday concert. I'm being really transparent. I was scared no one was going to come. So I was like, as opposed to doing a birthday party, I'm going to do a birthday concert. So that forces people to buy tickets to come see the show. Because it's a very vulnerable, scary thing.
Totally.
Like, I don't have 10, 20,000 followers on the social media like some of the kids, you know. And so I was like, I don't know if this is going to sell or blah, blah. So if I make it a birthday thing, then it's, you know, and that also frees me up to do whatever the heck I want to do. Like, and so I'm going to tell some stories like I told earlier, and some funny stories. Like I remember the first time I had my first church solo. I talk about that, how I was like scared and really not into it, and how I went back and like I grew up listening. I call them Aunt Patty, Aunt Shaka, Aunt Gladys, and I was
They
like,
could have been anybody until Aunt Shaka.
well,
and then
it
I
could have
figured
been
out
right,
who you
Aunt
meant.
Shaka. And I was like, wait a minute, they kind of like really like sing up, down, and around. I'm going to try this at church the next Sunday. And I did. And I was like, I like this. And so
Oh, wow. You brought them to church.
I brought
literally.
them to church. And I was like, I want to do what they do. And I can do it. And so I got up the nerve to do it like at church. And then that people like freaked out. And I was like, I really like this. And I also talk about like how I went to Interlochen and I was, I mimicked this opera voice. I didn't grow up singing Broadway stuff, and I got into the camp, and someone was like, "You can do this like for a living." And I talk about a visceral moment where I sang a song, which I won't name yet, but it was at an open mic at school, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm supposed to do theater." And so there's just moments like that in the show, and there's funny moments and moments that are touching, but I'm just sharing my story basically and giving myself permission because it's my birthday just to be a little self-indulgent and talk about myself.
Well, I hope that instinct lasts beyond your birthday because your role as a human being in this world actually gives you that agency.
Yeah.
And so you need to take it.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
Your story, not just your stories, but your story is important.
You are right.
I also want to say the only other person I know who is on Broadway who says that they like imitated an opera voice.
Yeah.
Also went to Interlochen.
Who?
Al Silber. Alexander
Are
Silber.
you get that?
She's never
brilliant
had
one?
a voice lesson.
What?
I mean, she studied at Interlochen, you know, and
sure.
but she was like, no, I just like heard it and decided to. I don't know. I shouldn't quote her without.
Right.
But yeah, she told me that.
What? Have I talked to her about Interlochen? There's so many of us.
She went with Michael Arden. She wrote a memoir about it. I mean, her memoir. She has 2 books out.
Yeah,
one is a fiction book
Right.
about that's like a sequel to Fiddler on the Roof.
Right.
The other one's called White Hot Grief Parade, and it's about the experience of losing her dad, which happened while she was at Interlochen.
What?
And it's all these behind the scenes stories about her and Michael Arden and their other friends who ended up all being on Broadway.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a
I need to look up what
beautiful
year they
book.
went to Interlochen. There's so many of us swarming around this city. It literally, and I'm a big proponent of this. Interlochen changed my life. Had I not gone to that camp and that academy, I would not be sitting here in front of you because I didn't grow up like most kids going, I'm going to be on Broadway. Like it literally fell into my lap later in life, like my the summer before my senior year of high school, and it literally changed my life. And someone like turned on the light bulb and was like, you can do this as a living. And I said, okay, I'm going to leap and do this. And my mother, who I love so dearly, never questioned it. She always just was like, how much is it going to cost? And she figured it out. And here I am. But literally, Interlochen changed my life. If you have any kids that want to do art and any kind, whether it be musician or writing, send them to Interlochen. It changed my life. And it's the reason why I'm sitting here. And I'm so grateful to this day for them.
It's a camp. It's also a
Boarding
boarding
school, yeah. So
the people who've gone there is like Anthony Rapp and Ashley Park and I think like Tom Hulse went there and Ed Helms went there.
When I was there,
Josh Groban.
Bruce Willis's daughter, was there, and I remember, and she was only there for a semester because she booked a movie and had to leave. But I literally remember being in her dorm room, and her dad. We had voicemail. What do you call them? Voice machines, because we didn't have I'm old, and I remember her listening to her dad being like, rumor, take the video back to Blockbuster. And I was like, oh my God, that's Bruce Willis.
I just Googled a list of famous alumni from Interlochen, and just read this one that I have highlighted. Read it out loud.
Shut up, Kim Kardashian. No, Kim what the hell? How do you say that?
I think it's Kim Kashkashian.
But that's close enough.
Who's a Grammy-winning violinist or violist. But as I was scrolling through,
it looked like Kim Kardashian.
Well, of course, when you see Kim and a name that starts with K-A and ends in Ashian,
you think,
and I was like, he's gonna freak out. And then I was like, oh no,
meant to be. See, look.
I know.
And she's also a Libra like me. Like, me and her are gonna get along so well when we meet.
We unfortunately don't have time for me to tell you this story on the air, but I will tell you about the time I hung out with Kim.
Shut up. Yeah, I have to hear that.
It happened. And maybe someday I'll tell that story on Laura Heywood Interviews.
Yeah.
Maybe if enough people manifest it.
There you go. See?
All right. Christian Dante White, you're so lovely. I love it when I meet people that I've only known online and they just turn out to be so... just like exactly what I wanted them to be or more.
Yeah.
We're like real friends now.
Thank you. We are. Thank you for having me today.
And I will see you at the Green Room 42 on October 14th at 7 p.m.
Yes.
I love this venue because they always start tickets at like $22, less than the cost of a rush ticket. There's no food or drink minimum.
Yep.
So you really can... just the ticket price is the ticket price. If
Absolutely.
you want to eat or drink, that stuff's there, but you don't have to.
Right.
And of course, we've got to come out and celebrate your birthday.
Yeah, come on and celebrate with me and hang out. It's going to be fun.
I'm going to manifest Beyonce to show up.
Oh, please do. And Oprah.
And
Gail.
And Bet. And everybody else. Oh, Christian Dante White, thank you.
Thank you.